Back to the book. With a little further delay, Lewis got what he sought for himself. He would report to the new Marine base in North Carolina, swamplands at New River, where he would command the 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, and prepare them for war. So obviously Pearl Harbor takes place, and he heads back to the States to take over the 1-7 Marines. When the battalion returned from the field late afternoon, Puller called a conference of his company officers. Gentlemen, my name's Puller, your new commander. We have a good deal of work to do together. I'll be slow to make changes, but one of them begins tomorrow. At the first rest period after we leave camp, camouflage every man and every piece of equipment. We've got no camouflage material, Major. Well, do it anyways. The best is in the field. Find a mud hole, smear mud on your faces and hands. Twigs on helmets and blouses, anywhere you can stick them. Pine foliage is good. You'll learn. The battalion began with marches of 12 miles daily. This was pushed to 15 and then 20 miles. Puller punctuated drills with fight talks to his men. They were very young, many of them beardless boys under 16 who must have lied about their ages. They were the most obscenely profane men Puller had ever encountered. Edward L. Smith, a young battalion doctor educated at Yale and Harvard, confessed that the constant flow of filthy language actually sickened him. Now, we had some guys that were marching, and some of them fall out from the heat. And he roared, and the Major Puller comes by. When you were marching this morning, I heard a Marine on the roadside say, "There goes the goddamn 7th Regiment." I was amazed one of you didn't step out of ranks and knock him out cold. One of his privates, Gerald White, a Yale man from Eastport, Maine, also a diarist, began to take note of Puller. He is never obscene, remarkably for the vigor with which he handles us. He is tough and demands the utmost. But there is always a kindly approach, even when he is chewing you out, that displays a touching sympathy. Again, this is what we're trying to do as leaders. Balance that dichotomy. Here's Puller talking to his troops. One more thing. Whenever we are at chow, the privates will be fed first, then the non-coms, and officers last of all. Typical, taking care of the troops. When they were toughened to that, this is it when they're doing calisthenics and all their marches. And here we go back to the book. When they were toughened to that, Puller put them through a series of night marches, beginning after midnight. The doctors, like others, learned to read maps and compasses and to handle weapons, including mortars. The practice of identifying ships and planes, a joke in most units, became a serious business in 1-7. Some medics learned Morse code, and Manila John Basilone, an Army-trained veteran machine gunner, traded semaphore lessons for instruction in first aid. Had to bring up that we had Manila John. It's like unbelievable, man, that these stories are just unbelievable. Here's another very cool situation. This young lieutenant was practicing some kind of an assault, and he gets a little complicated. And what Puller calls everyone is old man. Whether they're older than him or younger, he calls everyone old man, which is pretty funny. So here we go. Puller's talking to this young lieutenant. Old man, there's mighty little room for fancy tactics below division level. The enemy are on the hill. You go get them. In the end, you'll save men. There are times when you'll have to flank, but don't forget that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Get some. I always talk about flanking, and I'm a big believer. Chesty Puller says, hey, sometimes you got to flank, but sometimes you got to go get some.
Straight up.
Straight line. Here's another important thing. There's a colonel that's running artillery training, and he goes and talks to him. Colonel, you'll be starting artillery training next week. I want you to let me know when you'll fire. I want to get my troops under it as often as I can. And the colonel said, there may be accidents. And Puller says, we can chance those. What I won't chance is taking a bunch of green kids to war before they know the sound of big guns. I know shells aren't the same going in and coming out, but this will help. So he wanted to get them right there under the sound of the guns. Lieutenant Cox, now the executive of A Company, was impressed by Puller's thoroughness. Major Puller never stood aside and said, "Carry on, Sergeant," and most other officers did. He was in there with us, pack and all. He could walk down the best of us, even the kids. Other commanders rode cars in the woods, but not Puller. Here's another journal entry. Private Gerald White wrote for his diary, "Puller must have marched twice the distance we did, for all day long he kept marching up and down the column, jaunty as a bantam rooster, pipe clinched in his teeth, ever alert to see that men who were succumbing to the heat, exhaustion, or blisters were taken care of by corpsmen. Many times today, I saw him take a bar, which is a Browning automatic rifle, it's a big machine gun, a bar, machine gun, or mortar off the shoulder of some Marine whose fanny was dragging and carry it to give the poor guy some respite." Here's another situation. Again, good dichotomy here. He finds somebody asleep on watch, which, by the way, is like an incredibly horrible thing, which you can get severely punished for. Back to the book. Puller shook the boy awake. "Old man, it's dangerous to pull a trick like this. Suppose Captain Rogers had caught you. He'd have made a big fuss, and then I'd have to court-martial you and slap you into the brig. Maybe that's what I should do, but I'll give you another chance. Pretty soon now we'll be fighting for keeps, and you'll stay awake or risk the lives of every one of us. You understand me?" So, I mean, talk about a way to endear yourself to the troops. That's so awesome. Hey, if the captain would have caught you, man, it would have been a big fuss. Luckily, I caught you.